Hello, this is your instructor Daniel Chang for GAD101. Let me get that no boards up so that y'all can see my key presses. All right. Um, this week what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our JPEG maps that we made from last week and we're going to bring them into SketchUp, which is a free 3D program. You just have to sign in to a Trimble account and you'll have access to SketchUp. And then we're going to, in SketchUp, build out a 3D model of our sets and maybe some representations as well of our you know, game character. This is rough, right? This isn't like, it's not going to be pretty. It's just going to be like a 3D version of this map. That way we can actually communicate it. Um, Even if you were doing a side scroller, a lot of side scrollers now also have 3D backgrounds. So having it built out, I think, is also helpful. Um, but the first thing we got to do, though, I had us make these fairly high resolution in case we ever wanted to print them out. Uh, so so let's lower, save out a version with a lower resolution first. So image size instead of 200, let's just make that 72 DPI, and let's make that like 6 or something like that. All right. And boom. Okay, like that. I'll show it again. You, yeah, you take your file, that's the JPEG, you go to image, you come down here to image size, okay? There's a hotkey here, Alt Control I. Well, I just find it on that menu. I'm going to reduce this 200 dpi file down to 72. I'm going to reduce the 11 inches down to 6 and hit OK. And you see how tiny I shrank it, right? Let's do it again. Image size, 72 dpi, 6 inches. And it'll automatic, if you have this link on here, it'll automatically reduce the other one. So you don't have to do math. You're not like calculating, oh, what would the other number be? It'll just do it for you. All right, so now you want to save a copy or save as, and you just call this the same name, but you end it with small, something like that. Okay, and then close it, and don't save the original file. You just save it out, save a copy that's like a small version, right? So small, oh, I put 3 L's, small, all right. Don't save the original. Okay, save a copy. Then we call it small. All right. And then save that out. And don't save this. All right. So that's pretty much what we needed Photoshop for. Oh, sorry. Got a thing here on my internet. Sorry. All right. Let's take a look at that file. Those files. So yeah, the size should appear rather small on screen. Yep, and it does. Cool. Cool. So now let's open up a SketchUp um on it's a web browser program here. It's called SketchUp Free I usually come over here to free 3D modeling software. I type in on a Google search, SketchUp free, right? And go to free 3D modeling software, 3D design online. And then it's like, oh, plans and pricing. Let me tell you how much you can spend on our product. And I'm like, nope. Come over here. The best way to 3D for free. Your free 3D modeling software. Make anything you can imagine without downloading a thing. So that sounds good. You go over here to start modeling. And then it'll bring you to the Trimble menu, and you've got to, either sign in or use whatever Google account, Apple account, Microsoft account, or I think you can just sign in using like your email and all that. So I've signed in already previously, so I'm doing that. Otherwise, you just go to I don't know, like your Google account or something. Um, SketchUp, like the main SketchUp, not the web browser version, but the main version used to actually also be free. Back when it was owned by Google, it was initially used to get them free 3D modeling content for Google Earth back in the day. So yeah, so once you sign in with your account, you can see here yours will be blank, but these are all the previous class demos I've done. Doing stuff. Let's just hit create new and create a new digital file like this. Cool. And yeah, that's the program on a web browser. It's pretty rad. All right, so now the first thing. Okay, I want to pull this up on off to the side of it because I want to drag stuff in, right? One of the first things I generally do here is, well, actually for a top-down map, I don't think I need to create a cube. Yeah, I usually create a cube if I need something to stand straight up, like a billboard. But in this instance, it's just going to lay flat on the ground and it should be fine. Let's see. Wait. Oh, it didn't do it. Come on. Yeah, drop your file here, copy. Ah, there we go. Okay, so you have a choice. Do you put it down as an image or a material? I will say put it down as an image, and then it'll just bring it in. Now, it might not be the right size, right? And that's fine. You just look at this bearded dude here and you just kind of estimate like how big do I think my my world will be compared to this dude, you know? And that's kind of how we do things in environment art as well. It's like, well, how big are your characters, right? Because whatever is built in the world by those characters, it's made for those characters. That makes sense, right? So, yeah. So the first thing what I'm going to do, I just kind of sized it and then once I liked, whatever size that was. Here, I'll do it again for the second one. Boop boop. Let's take a look. Drag this in. Drag it in, drop it here as image, yes. And let's start it off like, I don't know, there. And then you just kind of drag it until it's kind of approximately the size that you think. And then you click again to confirm on the left mouse click button. And there you go. There's my arena there. And you could always resize it later. So if I thought that that was too large, I can click on this using the selection tool here. And then hit S, which is scale. And then you can just drag it so that it's small again. This here is the move tool. M is the letter, right? So there you go. Boom. One map to the next. All right. Here's my third one. Just going to drag that in and drag it in as an image, and I think it'll be approximately there. I don't know. Doesn't need to be that large of a chamber, actually. Think about it. Yeah. It needs to be about as big as my puzzle chamber was. That is one temptation, I think, on this is to make things larger. Um, it's like, it is a thing when you're prototyping stuff. You tend to make things larger so that it's easier to work with. But but then, it all being too large at the end. All right, so let me talk about SketchUp and how uh, how to not lose your mind working in SketchUp. All right, so one of the first things is in SketchUp, the geometry is always so. Like, let's say for example, if I made a little square over the top of this, the geometry, and then you hit what's called push pull right here. P is the hotkey for. So if, like, let's say for example, if that was my ground plane, right? Now in SketchUp, if you have two pieces of geometry touch each other, yeah, when two pieces of geometry love each other very much, um, you'll encounter this where I can move this to this guy, and then it touches, right? And then I go like, oh, I changed my mind. I'm gonna move it back. This happens. It gets stuck to it like a horror movie. It's like it's like, you know, gum or something, Um, and so to prevent that from happening, you have to group your geometry. So if I triple click on this, right click and hit make group, if this is grouped and, you know, this thing were to touch it now, boom, and then I move it, it won't stick to it anymore like gum. It's the group almost, imagine, if you will, packages it down, right? So I can group this as well. So that's the first lesson on SketchUp is make sure you have everything grouped, okay? If you miss that lesson, you're kind of screwed. You're going to be like having all sorts of issues in SketchUp. All right, so I just push pulled this out so that it reaches the end of the hall. And now I'm just going to draw a line right here and go straight up like that. And now I'm going to go to the push pull tool again. Oh wait, I need to hit the selection tools. The space bar is the hotkey for selection. And now push pull, which is P. And then I made my elbow of a hallway right there. Cool. There you go. Push pulled. All right. And I'm just making the ground plane at this point. I can, come back and build walls later. So, next is I'm just gonna make all of this into geometry, right? So I'm just gonna, and the good part about this too is you don't necessarily have to get it all perfect. In fact, it's almost better to make it smaller at the beginning and then push pull it to kind of fit later. Because you're not going to nail it right away. You're going to get intersecting pieces. But the great thing about SketchUp is like if I push pull this and I butt it up against that, it's just going to stop at that point. It understands like, oh, there's something there, instead of it going, keep going, keep going. if I get near the proximity, you could see it snaps to that point, which is great. It's really handy for architects this way. So make group, right? And then, oh, this one's a bridge, but it's up on the sky, right? So sky bridge. I'm going to do this push pull thing, put it up. Oops, I went over. Undo is Control Z. There we go. Triple click on it, right click, make group. You do that action a lot in SketchUp. Remember I had that thing as a ceiling prop, so it was up in the sky, right? So you can actually go here to this bucket tool, this paint bucket tool, and then you can find a color, I believe. Here, let's see. Well, these aren't. Those are like already used colors. I just want like, let's see. I come over here, look for colors, and just go to regular colors. Colors. There you go. And this will give you more options on colors. That first one was just whatever colors were already existing on your map. So I'm just going to mark that down as that color to. And oh, and here's another trick in SketchUp. If you don't want to create everything from scratch every time, you could just select, say, this one, and then hit M for the move tool. And if you hold down Control and drag it, or click and then drag and then move it over here, and then click again, it'll duplicate it, right? And you could do this all day long. So, like, say for example, if I want to make another one, I can. I hit hold down Control and left mouse click with my mouse button, and you can move. Oh, moving the camera. Let's talk about that. So, in SketchUp, moving the camera is done with the middle mouse button, the mouse wheel, you know. And so you can drag it and then kind of, you can rotate around just by dragging on the middle mouse wheel. If you have the wheel, you can roll in and out to zoom in and out with the wheel. And if you hold down Shift, you strafe. So you can actually pan up and down or strafe left to right. So as I'm navigating, I'm mainly just holding, clicking on the middle mouse wheel and the shift button. I have my left hand hovering over the shift button um, whenever I need to strafe. Okay, some SketchUp basics there. All right. So let's let's continue. Huh? I wonder what happened. It didn't copy it. Let's see. Oh, shoot, it didn't copy it. It's not control? I thought it was control. Oh, I know what happened. They changed it in the new SketchUp. I'll show you. They made it a toggle. Damn you guys. All right, so you can see if I click on control once, a little plus pops up, and I click on it again, and it turns into whatever that is, and then it goes back to normal. So if you just toggle it once and get that plus button, then you can actually drag it over and make it, uh, oh, it sank down, which is fine. Let me unsync it. So I have this selected, and I know that I want to move it up this distance. So what you do is you just, while you have the move tool on and that thing selected on the left, you just drag your mouse up from this point to that, and it recognizes you're referencing this distance, and it'll move it up that much. Okay. Yeah, they changed it to toggle. It used to just be so it used to just be holding it down, but they changed it to toggle. So we got this now. So I'm just kind of bringing all these in as kind of representatives first, and now I'm gonna edit it so that it fits. So here we go. One. Oh, if you want to edit it, like you go into the group, you double click on it, and then now you can edit the group. So now I select that face. I go to push pull, and I can actually push pull this so that it snaps against that. And there's my second piece there. Now, if you want to move out of the group, you just click outside the group and it'll move you out. Now I want to go into this one, right? This is all very good review, especially for those who have already had a little bit of SketchUp experience in middle school. I feel like for a 2D artist, this is a fairly intuitive program. Um, it's kind of like 3D for dummies in a weird way. All right, so check this out. I want to make this room, and so I'll just kind of do that and push pull. So I bring it out here, and then I'll go to this pencil and draw a vertical line. You could tell if it's actually vertical or not by it turning blue. You see when it snaps, blue on edge, right? And then P for push pull, and just gonna drag it out, approximate that. See how that works, right? And actually, that seemed to have been easier than to try to make these two go into each other. So I think I'm just gonna work it off of that one piece, at least for the ground. When I go and do the walls and other things later, I think I'll do it differently. All right, so here we go. Push pull, and then draw a line, which is L, line tool, L. Push pull P. Cool. I will make the exit a separate piece because I want it to be a separate color. But this entrance here, this hallway, we can make that the same piece if we want. Oh, let me show you. This is one common mistake that happens. So you can see I drew a line, but I drew it outside of the group. Well, when you do that, you just select your line and delete it. Double click so that you come into the group. And the way I could tell that it was outside of the group was when when I clicked on here and got the line in, it didn't close it off. It usually closes it. So now it's like, well, what else do you want to? And then I realized then, like, oh, it should have closed it off. So I'll show you what it's supposed to do now. I double click inside here, go to this line tool. When I drag, click and then click, see it closes off. It's not all like still hanging on, right? Same thing there. And now I can push pull right off of this guy right here. So there's my ground plane. Outside of that, just, you know what? I had a bridge, right? I'm just gonna grab that bridge. Yeah. Oh, damn it. I realized that this thing did not. All right. Come on. Copy this over. Dang you. There we go. Double click. Push pull this back until it touches that. Okay. Now, when I copy this over, I better make sure that. Okay. Click control once. Yeah. And now it'll copy over as opposed to you know. It's easier just to kind of keep it at a distance away and then push pull until you find the edge. Because sometimes when things are like really close to each other, it SketchUp it gets kind of confusing and you can't find the face that you want to push pull. And what you want is for it to snap because then you know that those faces are touching, right? All right, so there's an exit. Cool. Now let's do this room right here. I don't know. We could start with this guy. Okay. And then go to the move tool. Click just once, drag it over. And then from here, we go in and when we push pull. So I just want to get the normal square of the room first. I do recommend you work with square rooms first because once you start getting into round rooms or other types of shapes, it adds complexity and so it better be like for a reason other than I thought it looked cool. Um, it better be for like, like, well, in order for this to actually work, it has to be that way. Like, okay, then then you are allowed, but yeah, otherwise it's kind of a pain in the butt, quite frankly. All right, so I'm gonna move this back and I'm gonna carve out a little bit of a so the white area will wrap around like that. Cool. I'm gonna keep the, colored spawn chamber there, separate piece of geometry. Um, why? Why is a good question. I might move it later. Anything that you might move later, you kind of want to just make it separate. It'll just make lives easier if you're gonna move it later. So I'm gonna click on that bottom left-hand corner there, drag it out. Oh shit. I didn't grab the bottom left-hand corner. You see, I grabbed that one. No, I want that corner. Dang you. Oh, I made a big one. Dang, SketchUp sometimes gets so frustrating. Yeah, you just move. Get really good at navigating with that middle mouse button, I'll tell you what. And then, oh, this one's embedded now. How do I push pull that? Well, you can always move your camera in a way where you go under the geo and then you come back up and boom, like that. It's a weird it's a weird combination of moves, but yeah. Okay, make group and then I'll make it this color. Cool. And then we've got our outro here. Let me copy this over. Boom, like this. I'm gonna double click here, push pull this, and then if I wanted to kind of L shape around, I can just by doing that. Cool. So that's my exit. Okay. So I got all my walls down right now. So, or I got all my floors down. And so now you can make the walls. There's a few ways. There's the easy way and the hard way. The easy way is to go into a piece of geometry like this right now. And you won't see the tool right here, but if you let me see if I can raise this up a little bit. Okay. If you go down to the three dots right there, you'll see there's more tools that they have kind of hidden away. The one you want is this tool called Offset. So you click on that. Okay. And now you've got what's called the Offset tool right here. And what you do is, you have a surface like this top here selected. And then you go to the offset tool and you click on that, and then you click on the surface and it will create a evenly measured border around your piece of geometry right here. And this only happens if your geometry is flat. Um, and yeah, so it'd be like that. So I just made sort of an inset, or in their case, they call it an offset, right? And and yeah, so then you can from here you can push pull out up, right? And now you've made some geo right here. Now, if this is a hallway, right? You probably want to push pull this all the way to the end, and then it cuts it. That's the crazy thing about SketchUp is if you push all the way to the other side and there's nothing blocking it, it will just punch a hole because it thinks you want a window or a doorway. So that's the wonderful part here about SketchUp is, and let me duplicate my dude here. I'm gonna click Control once, and then I'm just gonna drag him over. You always want to have these guys here as sort of measuring tools, especially now I'm making walls and ceilings, right? So I need them as a measuring tool for each one of these chambers and levels. Cool. But you could see, like, even with a complicated shape, it just does it for you all the way around. Obviously this would be simpler, but still you're saving yourself some time by using this offset tool. And then if you want this to be as tall as your other thing, you can. Now, in general, you want your room size to be like at least two of your characters tall. In this case, because we are a upside down playing kind of level, maybe we should be even taller than that. Let's just say if that was my wall room size. And then I want to maybe stay consistent, or maybe I don't. Maybe I want it to be kind of short at the beginning. I can, So, oh, this is one cool thing too, is you can reference things when you push pull. So I can reference this and it'll be even with whatever surface I'm on, or I can reference that and it'll be exactly that height, you see. So that's another wonderful thing about SketchUp that you don't really get in other 3D applications. So there we go. Let's see here. Now I want to create an opening, like a doorway, right? So over here, I'm just gonna draw a line. See how it's green? Well, that means that it's, perpendicular, right? And, I missed the mark here, but that's fine. You just push pull this until you get it to the right spot. And so let's say I want it about there-ish. I'm just approximating right now, like that. And so then now when I come here and make this hallway, I can do the same thing like that, and then push pull this up. And maybe the hallway doesn't have a super high ceiling. Excuse me. And because it's a hallway, I'm just going to grab that wall and just push it all the way back. Grab that wall, push it all the way back. So it's a through and through, right? Something like that. And I like that it's all nicely packaged away like that as well. So there we go. Come in here. Boom. And then I'm just going to pull this up. And you'll be like, what? What about the thing? Yeah. Going this direction would be red. Basically, I just use the line tool until I see a color of some sort. And if it's red, green, or blue, it's one of the axes. And so there you go. Boom. And oh, this is an open chamber. So I'm just gonna push it all the way so you could see across the way, right? And then in this particular one, the ceiling is significant. So I'm gonna start making a ceiling too. I'm, I think I'm gonna make it a separate piece because the problem is sometimes you want to hide your ceiling so that you can tell what the hell's going on inside. So I'm just gonna make it a separate piece like that. And I'm just gonna make it its own group. And I'm gonna hit B for the paint bucket tool. And if you hold down Alt or click on Alt, you can color pick that same color and then apply that to this. And remember, this bridge is this color. I wanted it to be basically a upside down sky bridge, right? So there you go. That's my room. And this one on the other side is kind of a mirror of this one. So I'm just gonna duplicate this now, bring it over here. And oh yeah, here's another cool thing about SketchUp is you can see how, let me move this here out of the way. You see how there's these little red crosses? When I hover my cursor over that, a little protractor shows up, right? Well, that's the rotation tool, and this handles it. So if I want to flip them around and rotate them around like that, I can just using these little grab points. Okay. And so now this one, I'm just gonna delete, and I'm going to drag this into place. Yeah, something like that. And you're like, but Dan, it doesn't fit. Well, I'm just gonna pull it back and double click and then push pull this until it lines up with that guy. And then I'm gonna duplicate this. You can see how once you've made a piece of geometry, you can just always grab another one that's similar enough, especially if you keep it simple at the beginning, you know? So there you go. There's my ceiling, like that, right? If I wanted to, I could always hide it. I can left click on this, right click and hit hide, and then now it's hidden. And you can always bring it back with unhide. If you come over here somewhere, I don't know. Oh shoot, how do I unhide? Let me see. Can I do a how do you unhide? You should be able to unhide at this point. Let's see. Yeah, they totally simplified the menus and the controls. Well, I think you can unhide at some point. Let me see. Is it Control H? Nope. That's history. Yeah, I don't know. Ah, shoot. Yeah, on the regular version of SketchUp, there's a whole menu up top here. Like, there's a whole menu bar up there. And I'm trying to think if, is there a way to do it to access that menu? I'm not sure. Oh, that's a weird one. Okay, don't try to hide it. I'm just gonna undo my last move here. Oh, this is undo. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I guess what you could do is you could just move it and then move it back if you need to. Um, ah, here's a better tool for it if you want to just hide it. Over here is this thing called section plane, and it affects everything though. But if you click on it, you can see you turn the ceiling black. What does that mean? Well, it means that it's doing a cutout thing and filling it in with black geometry. So you can actually go all the way past the ceiling mark here, like this, and it just kind of cuts it down on your geometry. So you could go all the way down, go up, and so you just want it like past that. That's pretty good. And you could toggle on and off on this. You could double click on it and then your ceiling geometry will be visible again. And that's not actually like doing anything physical to your model. It's just a tool to help you visualize it, you know. Um, yeah. Okay, so I want to make let's say for example, if I wanted to make a ceiling for this guy, well, it's complicated because um, uh, it's like such a weird shape. Do I want to do that all over again? Not really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this thing, flip it over like a baby. Boom, like that. And I'm just going to select that face, Control C. I'm going to flip my whole thing back like that, and now hit Control V. And I should have this available, and then be able to push pull like that, and then triple click, make group, and then use that paint bucket tool to paint this. You see, like that. Now I have a ceiling for that, and if I double click, it'll get cut, you know, like that. So I think that that's probably the best way to set it up, honestly. Um, Here's another piece of geometry where I can just click on that, Control C, rotate this back, Control V, so push pull until it kind of, I'm just approximating the thickness, or maybe it should go all the way up so I don't have that little hole there. Yeah, okay. And then group, and then push pull, or um, paint bucket. This one's easy enough for me to just make from scratch because it's basically just a square. And then push pull up, triple click, make it a group, and then paint bucket tool for it to look like the ceiling. Cool. Oh, I did want this to end on pretty high chamber, right? So I just want to move that straight up. And I guess there would be like an opening here at some point. So let's punch a window through and see what we get. Boom, like that. And then if you punch this all the way through, see, it makes a little window hole. You can just move this up or push pull it up. Push pull this out so that we can make room. Camera position is super important when you're working in SketchUp. If stuff's covering you, you can't see it. It's not doing like an orthographic view, it's doing like as if like you're in the game type of view, right? So that's kind of complicated for some people to get a handle on it. I get why. Okay, so I'm just gonna move this down until, and this could just be white. We can make it whatever that color is. You can kind of color pick the walls. And I'm just gonna offset like that and push pull the sides up like so. Push pull that until it reaches the end. This till it reaches the end. Push pull this till it reaches that top. And now I've got what? A hallway. Yeah. There. It's already in a group, so that's good. So there we go. That's my hallway up high, right? Do the same thing now for here. Do an offset tool first. Pretty cool. Push pull till it gets about the same height. And I'm making it the same height just because I want a standardized height. Oh, shoot. Let's do that over again. I think I made my walls like super thick. Let's try it again. Offset tool. Yeah, like about maybe like that. That's better. Again. Well, I found that in SketchUp, if I mess up something or if I want to change something, it's easier to like do it over again from scratch rather than to go in and just try to make little minor adjustments here and there, a bunch of minor adjustments. It's usually just easier to create it from scratch again. Push pull. That's my entry. This is my what? Oh, I guess. How do I do this? I know. Do it from the top. There we go. Push pull down. It's a pretty good way to make a hole. Okay, like that, right? And then we've got our other chamber here as well. Let's do this real quick. Push pull this. That's just to show like it's a spawn point. And then, oh yeah, and this part too. We gotta cut it. Line tool, get that corner, push pull. And my exit. Let's see. Offset. Pull up. You're like, why are you gonna? It's probably easier just to go from the top down, like how we did with that other one. Push, push, pull this part all the way down, like so. And yeah, I can adjust this now. Kind of line it up a bit. And there you go. I've got that. And we could put a ceiling on that as well. Um, let's see. We're at 51 minutes. When we come back, I will show you how to put all the props in. All right?